Alright guys, welcome to the round 9 reviews of fantasy this week. So we scored 2069, another poor week, overall rank of around 4k and round 9 ranking of around 12k. And yeah, as far as our trades went, we ended up making the trades, pushing out Nation, Horn Francis, and we brought in Clark and Cripps. Clark I felt like had good job security and was great value with the low break even, and Cripper, I was hesitant picking Paddy Cripps, but we really couldn't afford anyone else. I think we were capped at around 870k, so players like Neil, Took, Brayshaw, Keys, Laird, we couldn't reach those sort of players, so we had to avoid them, and we picked the value option, I guess you can say, in Paddy Cripps. And Naish omitted, Horn Francis injured, so sort of forced trades on our hand there. As far as the team review goes, defense pretty solid apart from Whitfield. Short was a bit down, but still managed to get to an 86, so we'll definitely take that. Chris, Dawson, and Sicily all turned up without being too huge, so that's really good consistency, especially from Crisp in the last couple of weeks. I don't think he's fallen under 100 for a while now, so really good consistency. Dawson's bringing together a good couple of games and is in some good form the last couple of weeks. And Sicily just gets it done every week, so I think at the moment James Sicily's a keeper. Dacos was a bit underwhelming, wanted a bit more from him, but scored a 63, and for someone that started off dirt cheap this year and has gone up a heap in money, he's been pretty good for us, so I'm happy with Dacos' output. We'll probably offload him when Collingwood have that bye, so we can hold him for a couple more weeks. And then DeConning scored a 47, so he was alright, making us a bit of cash, which is good. We could have traded O'Driscoll this week, but I felt like we had to trade Naish and Horn Francis, both of them more expensive than O'Driscoll, and both of them not playing. So we trade O'Driscoll this week, I think. And yeah. And Whitfield, as for Whitfield goes, he had a down game, scored a 46, which is definitely not acceptable, but he plays the Eagles this week. New coach, hopefully new role, hopefully he can score a bit better. And then going into our midfield, fairly average. Clayton Oliver, I know that he doesn't have the greatest of history against West Coast, so I didn't want to risk it and captain him. So we ended up captaining Bailey Smith, taking the loophole, and he scored a 116. So he was alright, pretty solid. Jack Steele, good to see him come on and play out the game instead of just sitting out. But he will be out for a couple of weeks now, so it's probably a forced trade. And then Callum Mills, 156. I love watching Callum Mills play. Played against a depleted Essendon team. Was all over the place. His tackling pressure was elite. His uncontested game was really impressive, and his contested game was also pretty impressive. So he gets it done all around the ground, and he's playing a decent amount of minutes on the ground as well. So he's getting it done every week now. Obviously, it wasn't too great last week, but I think that if Callum Mills can keep up this form, he's possibly a top 3 midfielder for the season. And he's getting pretty expensive, priced at 953k now. And Paddy Cripps had a down week, scored a 76. I saw him in a couple of ruck contests, which is a bit unusual. And yeah, he's really handball heavy and not many tackles, not many marks. Sort of hurt his score, and he didn't kick any goals, I don't think. So that probably hurt him a bit more as well. But I think he bounces back. Had a down week, but was still one of the best for Carlton on that day. So yeah, I think he bounces back. Let's see who he plays this week. He plays that Friday night against Sydney. Be an interesting matchup because Sydney aren't the easiest teams to score against, but I think Cripper, being the player that he is, should avoid many tags just because of his height, and I think he should bounce back and hopefully turn up for us this week. McRae scored a 123, so yeah, good game from him. I think that last quarter sort of saved his score, otherwise he was on track for another poor week. But yeah, the midfield roles there, I think him and Bailey Smith are probably the two main midfielders for the Dogs at the moment. Dunkley, Treloar, Libba, and Bont probably spend a bit more time up forward and a bit of time in the midfield. So I think McRae and Smith are probably the set midfielders for the Dogs. Smith doesn't really attend many centre bounces, but he's always at the stoppage. So I think both of those two players are probably going to be the highest averaging players for the season. As for Dunkley, I'm not sure if he keeps up his 100 average for the rest of the season, given that he's playing this role up forward. So I'll talk about him later on. Matt Rowell, solid enough. Like I said in previous videos, Rowell's really not got an uncontested game, so it sort of hurts his scoring. And Clark was fine with the 61. He should hold. McComb, a bit underwhelming, 38. A slight chance he gets dropped, but one bad game. I don't think you can drop a player after one bad game. You got to give him another chance. So I think he holds. And McInnes didn't play. And then Rucks. Bruce was great, 108. Flynn omitted, so obviously his scoring was going to boost up a bit, and he turned up, which is really good. And Sam Hayes, 54. It's not great. I probably want to get Gawn as soon as possible, but I'll probably look to target Gawn after his bye. As I think that Hayes still has a couple more weeks in him, and Gawn is going down in price, as he has had a couple of poor weeks now. And then, Dunkley, we'll talk about him. So he scored a 113, but he was not looking like he was going to score 113 at all. He was on track for more like an 80. But yeah, huge last quarter, huge, I think it was the third quarter. I can't quite remember, it was a while back. But playing up forward is not ideal for Josh Dunkley. He did attend a couple centre bounces, although it was very few. And he's playing at that full forward position, so I'm not too sure about Josh Dunkley. He's still a top 6 with ease, I reckon, even if he does play that forward role. But I feel like playing that forward role will definitely affect his scoring, meaning he sort of lacks that ceiling that we've seen throughout the early stages of the season. So I don't think Josh Dunkley's a VC option anymore. Probably one to look at. If he does slot back into the midfield, given that the Bulldogs have an injury in the next couple of weeks, then he's possibly a VC option. But playing up forward, I don't think Josh Dunkley is a VC option. And then Stephen Cornelia, 49. Is not great as well. He was pretty poor. So hopefully he bounces back with the new coach. Should improve his scoring. Zachy Butters, 84. Fairly average. He did play a bit in the midfield, so he scored a respectable score in the end, and we'll definitely take that. And then Brody, 102. Good to see Brody turn up. And I think he played about 75% time on ground, so his minutes were up there this week, which is a really good indication for future weeks to come. I'm not sure how he plays when Fife comes back. That's probably one to monitor. And it's also one to probably monitor for Brayshaw. I don't think it really affects Brayshaw, but more so it'll affect Will Brodie. So one to look at when Fife comes back. And then Parker was great, 95. And Nick Martin, 65, was solid enough, considering how bad the Bombers played. Rochelle, 37, and Windhager, 49. Windhager came on as a medical sub, so he played really well considering he played, I think, about 50% time on ground. And Rochelle, 37, isn't great, but I think we can just hold him until his bye. His scoring's really dropped off significantly, and he's dropped in price a lot in the last couple of weeks. So we haven't really had the chance to get rid of him the last couple of weeks, with all these players being injured, omissions, Matt Crouch in particular, and, suspensions, Bruce being suspended. And, just injuries in general have forced our hand to make lots of trades, and we haven't been able to get rid of Josh Rochelle, who I've wanted to get rid of for a long time now. So I think we hold him through the buys. It's good to have, looking at the buys, I think you probably want to be attacking the buys with about 20 to 22 players. Sorry, not 20, 28 to 30 players in your team all playing. So the ideal buy structure is 8, 10, 12, and that means that 8 players have the opening buy. 10 players have the second buy, and 12 players have the third buy. That's the ideal buy structure. Obviously, with omissions and injuries and stuff like that, that's a really rare sight. But if you do manage to have a team full of 30 players playing, and you can follow that structure, it will definitely help you, go up in the rankings. And the buys, I feel like, is a chance for coaches that haven't been really scoring too well to really push up in the rankings. It's a good opportunity. So attacking the buys with the right mindset, not stacking too heavily on one team, but balancing your team really nicely is an important strategy. And also keep in mind to have a bench of players that are playing, because, you don't want to be fielding 20, you don't want to be having just 22 players playing and then 8 players on your bench not playing. You want to be going into the buys with at least 28 to 30 players that are playing. It is pretty important. So that's something to consider. But I'll talk about my trades now. So at the At the moment, we're trading at Nick Martin, although I'm probably going to reverse this. So Jack Steele to Brayshaw is a possible option. I do like Lockie Neal. We do need someone with that last buy, so it's either Andrew Brayshaw, Lockie Neal, or Dane Zorko. So in the end, it'll be one of those three. And then Nick Martin to Darcy Cameron is another option. Cameron's got that last buy. So we could do that, or we could fix up our bench, which I feel like is more important, and go O'Driscoll to someone like Luke Cleary, who I do like. So I'm tossing between those trades at the moment, but I'm still yet to decide. So yeah, that's what we're looking like at the moment in terms of trades. And then as far as our captains go, I think we'll VC Mills this week, and we'll probably go into someone like a Bailey Smith, or maybe even like a Brayshaw or Lockie Neal if we do bring them in, because Lockie Neal plays the Hawks, so he should have a field day. So that's how our team's looking like. Pretty solid, I think. We still are fielding quite a few rookies, which isn't ideal, but that's why I do like these trades and bringing in Cameron, because it allows me to get Nick Martin off the ground, although I feel like fixing up our bench is probably more important. But let me know how you guys scored this week. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.